up in a similar fashion. His dad always traveling, so it had made sense. Only a knock sounded at the door, cutting off his thoughts, which was fine. Those thoughts never ended well. Except he didn't want company either. He stood by the stove and listened, being completely silent. The chicken even seemed to pick up on the need for silence, and the frying became a slight sizzle instead of the popping bonanza that had been going on only seconds before. He would ignore whoever was at the door. It would be either a solicitor or someone looking for Julie. The knock sounded again, harder this time. He grunted and reached out to slap at the light switch, turning off the overhead light. He shouldn't have turned it on, but after closing the blinds when he'd come in, it had been too dark to cook in the cramped space. Maybe whoever it was would get the hint and leave. Nope. The knock this time was an obtrusive thump. With a quick flick of the wrist, he turned the stove burner off and stomped through the house. The damn chicken wouldn't be edible if it sat in the oil for very long. Grabbing the knob, he yanked open the door. "Stop right there!" He immediately took a step back, hands in the air at the weapon raised toward him. Then he squinted, his heart pounding wildly inside his chest, as he forced himself to fully take in the situation. It wasn't a gun, as he'd first thought, but what looked to be a can of pepper spray. Not that he wanted that in his face either. He took another step back, then sniffed. Good God, whoever it was reeked of fish. Then a memory came to him, of a certain redhead who'd lived next door with whom he used to go fishing, and the trim waist and those bare legs showing beneath the tiny pair of white shorts did imply this was a woman. "Ginger?" he questioned cautiously. The arm in front of him stiffened. "Is that you?" he added. Seconds later, the can lowered an inch, and red hair and clear green eyes peeked out above the tightly clenched fist. The arm lowered another inch, and Ginger Atkinson looked him up and down. "Carter?" He almost smiled, except he didn't smile these days, and he wasn't about to break his streak now. "Why in the hell are you pointing pepper spray at me?" he grumbled. "Put that thing away." The can didn't disappear. "Is that really you?" She squinted at him. Carter pushed her hand down, putting himself out of harm's way, and crossed his arms over his chest. "It's me. Now tell me why you're over here trying to blind me." Or worse, double him over and make him cry like a baby. He'd been sprayed once, as research for a book, and though he might not have cried exactly like an infant, tears had for sure made an appearance. It had been embarrassing and painful, and he did not want to repeat the experience. "I didn't know who you were." She pursed her lips, still seeming to size him up. She finally put the can out of sight, tucking it into the back pocket of her shorts, and Carter's gaze involuntarily followed the move. The cotton across her chest pulled tight, outlining her curves, and the shorts were short. The sight of her forced his brain to acknowledge the feminine picture she made, while at the same time his nose pointed out the smell. "You stink, Red." She made a face. "Nice to see you, too. What are you doing here?" "Came for a visit." He said the words as if visits for him were common, as if he'd been home more than twice since he'd graduated from college. The expression on her face said that she was aware of the facts. "Mom wanted me to check on Julie," he added grudgingly. She nodded like she approved of his words. "And how long are you here for?" "As few days as possible." He shrugged, then eased his stance and glanced back toward the kitchen, remembering how Julie had ripped the room apart. "I don't know," he said. Long enough to find out what was going on with his sister. He'd discovered several gouges dug into the walls, as if she'd been as intent on taking out personal frustrations as she was on taking down the wallpaper. Why she'd been doing either he intended to find out. Ginger crossed her own arms over her chest.